what's up, and welcome back to Interpreting the Stars, where today we're taking a look at 1995's Toy Story, which is Pixar's first film, which is the first fully CGI animated film. Some people know that, some people don't, so if you're one of the people that don't know it,
you're welcome.
I am watching this in preparation to see Toy Story 4 for the first time when it comes out to digital in a few weeks. And I'm always wary about watching this again and again and again because every single time that I watch it, my score changes. It usually drops a little bit. Why does it drop? Because while it is a timeless classic in one regard, it's also a movie that doesn't age very well when it comes specifically to the visuals. You kind of have to think about this movie from the perspective of a blind audience member. People are born every day and they don't just automatically know what Toy Story is. So they might be seeing it after seeing things like Avatar and Alita Battle Angel and things like that. So if you saw Toy Story after those, you're gonna think the visuals aren't that impressive. You're gonna be kind of disappointed because you've heard great things about it. But if you just remember that this is the first CGI movie ever in 1995, which is almost a quarter of a century old, I think most people can appreciate it at that point. But there are things about the visuals that you just can't ignore, right? The graphics aren't the greatest. The animation flows a little bit strangely because motion capture was very much different in those times than it is now, and it's harder to capture people's actions as well as they can today. So when people are pointing in the movie, they're not just pointing, but their arms start to kind of float away. So they're pointing this way and then they float a little bit like this. Ooh, it's almost like they're in slow motion, but they're not. And I could go into detail as to why that happens, but it's boring. And the idea here is it's just not what you come to expect from animation these days. The nice thing about that is it's focusing on a ton of toys, inanimate objects. So that motion might not be fluid like a human acts, but they aren't humans. They are toys, so it could be kind of seen like puppetry work. Another problem that I had with this movie is that even though it's a kid's movie, it's not a clear and concise plot. There's never a time where a character is saying, I'm going to do this from the beginning of the movie. Everybody's kind of trying to do their own things. Specifically, Woody is trying to convince Buzz that he's a toy, but he's also trying to win the trust of his old pals back. He's also trying to find his way back home again, and then he's trying to help Buzz find both of their ways back home. It's kind of confusing. It's never one clear-cut plot. It's definitely an adventure and it follows a very specific theme and moral of the story like jealousy and greed, but it never follows a specific storyline that is as clear as most kids' movies are. That being said, you don't really care because it's simple enough for a kid to enjoy from beginning to end and complex enough for an adult to watch with their child and not get bored and to still enjoy for what it is. In general, I do consider this movie to be nearly perfect in every way other than the fact that it has some age problems when it comes down to the visuals. This film really introduced you to a world of very, very memorable characters. Even though a majority of those characters are basically in the background throughout the whole movie. They're at Andy's house while Woody and Buzz are all over the place. The characters are still very unique, very memorable, great voices, great casting. Even the acting is really good from beginning to end. Nothing Oscar-worthy, but noticeable enough for you to feel the emotions coming from them. The writing is really well done, especially when it comes down to the script. I basically know the entire script by heart, and I've been saying the lines when watching the movie over and over again. The music, the score, the soundtrack, obviously it's amazing. Randy Newman is a god when it comes down to movies like this. I've always loved the score in this movie. I've sung along while watching the movie as well. It also has a pretty good pacing. You're always up for what's going on. You always feel like something that's important's about to happen, even though you've probably seen it 100 times. It still has that level of enjoyment, of nostalgia when you watch it. You feel like a kid when you watch this movie because it just brings you back to the days when you watched it for the first time. It is funny, it is relevant, it's one of the best Pixar movies I've ever seen, period. For the longest time, this was tied with Inside Out for me as the best Pixar movie. I don't know what that is anymore because the score for this has changed. But it's still up there. It's either the first or second best movie of Pixar that I've ever seen. It just has some technical areas that could have been improved if it was made later. Because obviously in 2019 it doesn't look as good as some other Pixar movies look. Totally a technicality, but it is what it is and it's hard to ignore anyways. But the real reason that you watch this movie is for the characters, specifically Woody and Buzz, but pretty much every other toy as well as Andy, as well as Sid, as well as those alien plush toys. You love every single character introduced to you in this world, and that's why people keep on watching these movies. That's why there's a Toy Story 4, even though that sounds crazy to think about when this came out in 1995. In general, I would say this is still as good as when it came out in 1995. Maybe not as good, but it's almost there. Almost. Just because of technical problems, it's not. The first time that I scored this, I scored it 99 out of 100 possible stars. The second time I rated it, it was 97 out of 100 possible stars. This is the third time that I've scored it that I know about, and it is now rated at 96%. It keeps going down, which worries me about future viewings, but 96 is still incredibly good. It's still one of the best I've ever seen from Pixar. It's one of the best I've ever seen from CGI movies in general, animated movies, what have you. It is very, very good. If you haven't not seen it, if you have kids, check it out. Even if you don't have kids, watch it because it is a good movie. It's a good story. It has good morals to the story. There is so many reasons to watch this movie, and if you haven't, check it out. So, guys, tell me what you thought of Toy Story in the comments down below. Is it the best Pixar movie you've ever seen? Also, for YouTube, make sure that you hit subscribe, hit the like button, hit the bell to be notified when I come out with my next review. And until then, peace out!